I'm having a flashback to all the other seasons. Anyway, welcome one and all. It has been a bit of a week. So just to give everyone a little bit of love and a little bit of catch up at the slight bit of content that was missed out of game. The last we saw our coterie, they had just narrowly escaped the clutches of one ancient werewolf sitting beneath the city, a mystery as to how it got there and why it was there in the first place. However, that was not the only threat lurking in the dark as our coterie raced through the catacombs to chase after Crescent's beloved touchstone, Medical. Upon successfully retrieving her, for now separating her from the influence of one Arya, the enraged specter that has a bit of a flair for punishment against Crescent. The group barely made it out, with a little bit of surprise magic from a mysterious but foreboding tome that, through much sacrifice and work, Grayson managed to carry out, albeit barely, out of that dark hole, but not before a strange stone slab within the massive altar room where the final conflict threw down suddenly cracked in half upon the slaying of said werewolf. It has now since been about 2 days since the endeavor, the group spending much time to lick their wounds and hide away, letting themselves simmer down, so to speak, especially with Grayson's intention of now furiously studying over this new and strange foreboding tome that still continues to elude him and refuses to bear its secrets willingly. In the meantime, a new kindred enters the playing field. She wakes up on the eve of the second day as she continues about her normal evening routine, habitually scanning through her entire apartment on the corner of First and University. Her objects in order, her home in alignment, and everything in its place. This fractured individual finally manages the courage and the gusto to get back to work as one of Seattle's most elusive but productive personal investigators, specializing in those that have gone missing or those that wish to not be found. She is struck with a premonition of intense strength. A close-up shot of a man with white hair in a ruined but fine red button-up shirt and blazer being pulled out of a crushed vehicle by a shadow with a shock of swirling red hair and blazing red eyes. The granite sign speaking East Seattle's second chance. An overhead shot of an eagle perched upon a light post, looking on at a building consumed in hellfire. The glint of a barrel of a gun and a knife in the dark. And then a last close-up shot, black and white, as rain falls down on a porcelain mask that nestles in a pile of ash. Moved by these visions, she tracked it down and found herself, surprisingly, in the laps of our coterie. Several of the ones that have gone missing have been taken from Grayson's facility, and our new member has made it very obvious she knows more than she should. But that's pretty indicative of that clan, if you can already gather. Through a bit of back and forth and a bit of prodding, Acer and Crescent agreed to work with our new individual, though bear in mind, not everyone here is strangers. As Crescent and our newcomer have a little bit of history. As they last saw each other, Crescent saw this individual fleeing with one of her marks as a Bruja super punched her off a high rise into the rising sun, which led to the inevitable chance meeting between Crescent and our favored witch, Medical. But for now, as unlikely allies gather, our wonderful friends, go ahead and introduce yourselves to our audience, old and new.
Well, It's always customary for me to go first. My name is Shin, but for tonight I will be playing Grayson Holland with Tremere, and my magic grows stronger by the night.
I assume that since we are without our resident Finblood, I would be next.
Of course.
Just until he's here. Hi, everybody. I'm Morgan Caldwell, and I am playing Crescent the Sombra.
Yes. Hi. You can call me Blue, and I'm going to be playing Onyx O'Connell.
Our wonderful and new Malkavian.
Mm-hmm.
Our resident Thinblood, as Crescent pointed out, will be joining us at a thematically appropriate time. He is still racing the dawn to reach his haven to join us as soon as possible. So, we'll have these three to contend with for now. And as always, I am your always listening and benevolent storyteller, Peter Needham. Let's see what happens tonight, shall we? As our three coterie members have all gathered together, and through a bit of interrogation, a bit of social maneuvering, and one little special premonition, thanks to our resident Malkavian, they are in pursuit of their first lead, a budding heavy metal / EDM nightclub nestled within the university area of Seattle. As our Thinblood pulls his phone out, the three of them walking together in tandem into the night, we dial one individual, as instead of starting with them, we fade into another. Grayson. The night fades in for you, as life once again begins to flow through your veins. You awaken, and you still hold that tone in your chest, cradled protectively as you slowly begin to rise. The sound of rain is lightly tapping outside your window. Give me a morning rouse check.
Okay. I will not get hungrier. Good for that.
But as you rise, you've been spending much time recovering, going over the memories and everything that had been going on with your encounter with the werewolf underneath the catacombs. And if you were still alive, you would think it all still be a dream. But here you sit in your haven once again. The world thinks you're dead, but now a strange artifact is in your grips.
Grayson, as he rises, will still keep to his routine as he stands up, with of course, the glaring difference that the book is never far from him. He places it down on the dresser next to his closet as he changes his clothes, and even maybe once he turns back to still there as he dons his a button-up shirt and a more vintage-looking vest on the outside. Goes over to his desk after he grabs the book and places it down onto there and opens it up and begins trying to reread it, trying to go over a section he's been deciphering.
To your horror, as you very tentatively begin to place your hand upon the book, the smooth, leathery human skin, dry and rough, not as supple as you remember over the past couple days. You flip open the cover, the pages are blank. Aged and weathered and yellowed, intact, but the writing is gone.
No. What is this? I'm going to take out a pen, and on the very edge, on the bottom of the page, I'm going to try and draw a line.
You draw a line over the page, and the ball point of your fountain pen scratches onto the page, but the ink does not imprint into the page. It merely suspends itself on top, as if the page itself is hydrophobic. And as you finish the line, the ink simply just rolls off the side of the book onto your desk, spreading out like a stain.
I would suppose that I need something to wake you up. Do I? I'm saying this to the book, seeing if I could get a response from it. This time I put the pen down and I nick my finger with a long nail, and
The moment you nick your finger, you watch as the pages flutter ever so slightly.
Tilts his head and he dabs the bloodied finger onto the page.
You dab a bloody finger. And for a moment, there's nothing. Before suddenly the pages, in a lightning flash motion, begin to curl around your hand. You try to retrieve.
Yes, I do.
Go ahead and give me a wits plus dexterity. Sorry, a dexterity plus athletics.
Oh, good. I'm good at those. No, I'm not. What does one success get me?
Not fast enough. As you begin to panic and pull your hand back, you feel the page wrap around your hand suddenly as sharp stabbing pain seems to slice and pierce into the flesh. You can feel something being pulled through. You try to tug your hand away in a panic. It still hurts. You can feel it piercing through the other side as redness begins to soak. And you get hungrier as you feel the bulk like a leech begin to pull forcefully Vitae from you, starved for ink, starved for sustenance, as you watch that rough, light, leathery skin begin to darken and supple. And as you pull frantically, just waiting for it to end, the pages gently release themselves and unfurl, laying flat. Your hand is riddled with paper cuts. Nothing deep, nothing damaging, as it's already beginning to naturally heal. But you feel hungrier. Vitae was just taken from you as if you had been fed upon, rapidly. As this massive splotch of Vitae begins to soak into the center of the page, but then begin to separate, dividing into smaller blushes and then smaller patterns, and begin to soak deeper and deeper into the pages until the first page is now covered in a very lightly reddish script.
I'll lean down to read some of it if I can.
Give me intelligence plus occult.
Intelligence and occult, I will do. 3 successes.
3 successes. Going through the first few pages, there are a number of very basic-looking geographic symbols. Whether you can't quite understand it, or the fact that the pages are still very faded, is hard to understand. However, there is a phrase you can slowly make out in very old Latin. Deluge of fear. With some very basic rudimentary symbols. There appears to be information here. This is definitely a cult, but you can already immediately tell that you don't think this book is sentient. That would be pretty crazy. But there is something about it. And you can watch as you finish that first phrasing, the pages are already beginning to fade.
So you see the book begin to crumble back into its state. I just try to take in as much information as I can, like the symbols and whatnot, but I will let it go back into its inert state for now. This is more of a probing.
Beyond the initial glancing of runic symbols, definitely it very much speaks to the style of Tremere, but there are other influences at work here. Tremere tend to have very geometric and very precise patterns, which these symbols do have, even as simplistic as they are. However, there is rough filigree in the runes themselves. There is a scratchiness to the language. It seems to be a combination of several styles of ritualistic nature, which Tremere are not the only clan to be able to dabble in the blood arts, though it is their specialty. It appears that there may be many variations of knowledge in this book. However, it appears it's a price to knowledge. You're in a fleeting opportunity at best. You don't gather much, but there is more here.
Oh, I love it. This is groundbreaking. This wasn't just made by Tremere. This was made in tandem with other clans. How have we become so spread apart? Fools. Fools we are. This is good. I need more blood. As I look back to my hand, assuming the last bits and cuts into close.
They've already sealed shut, as if it never happened, though that thirst in the back of your mouth reminds you it took from you forcefully.
I very gently close the book so that I can put my hand on the front of it, and I say, "It's all right. You gave me much the first time that we met. I will return this favor."
There's almost a rigid rippling over the smooth but dry leather surface. It's prickly, as if you run your hands through like you're teasing it. It chases your hand, seems starved for more, but doesn't strike you again.
In time. I'm going to take the book and I'm going to open up one of my drawers, one of the ones that are locked, and I'm going to clear space out so that this has its own place.
It barely fits, as the tome itself is almost, almost 2.5 inches thick. It is a very large tome itself. And you find that you have to clear almost everything out of this drawer just to make enough room for it to slide into the center. And you manage to very snugly fit this tome.
We'll have to find a better place to put that for now. You'll be safe there. As I close the drawer and I make sure to lock it tight and put the key into my pocket.
Fair enough.
I'm feeling a little bit hungrier, correct?
You are definitely feeling hungrier. It's not uncontrolling, but you're finding that as you slide the drawer closed and lock it tight, putting the key in your pocket, you're finding yourself nervously tapping on the desk, gritting your teeth ever so slightly. The hunger is noticeable.
Distracting. Need to get rid of it. I'm going to grab my phone. Put it up and I'm going to message Danica. Are you in today?
Almost lightning fast response. I never leave. What do you need?
Would you mind coming to my room? It's a little famished.
I'll be there in 5 minutes if it pleases you.
Take your time. I know you have responsibilities.
There's no response. In the meantime, do you do anything or do you just wait?
I think. No, he would. At this point, he looks down at the drawer again, takes out the key, and he opens the drawer and looks at the book again.
As you kind of look in and lean in and look at the book, it's still there.
Is there anything written on the spine of the tome?
There is not.
Nothing on the back either?
Nope. It is cover to cover, front and back, very thickly bound leather, though much rougher and paler than when you initially seen it in the catacombs. It doesn't speak of any animal that you've seen it before, and as you get a closer look at it, your own arm kind of being leaned up to it, it looks very similar to your own skin. It looks very similar to flesh. Though, give me intelligence plus medicine.
Okay. Man, one success.
One success. There's something off about the flesh. You just can't quite put your finger on it, though. It feels humanesque, but there's something odd about it. Leather cures in a very specific way. You just can't put your finger on it.
And I close the drawer and lock it again, and at this point I'm going to send a message to Acer.
Funny you should mention that. As you begin to pull up your phone, it does begin to vibrate as he is calling you. But give me a moment here, as he is ready for us to get brought into the fold. Now that you're here, welcome Acer. Glad you can join the group, and it just so happens that this lines up perfectly you pull out your phone just in time for Grayson to look at his own as your call goes through.
Swipe to answer the call. Hello?
Hey, so kind of did this without your knowledge. Hope that's okay.
You both do many things without my knowledge. We were hoping to negate some of that, however, please.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't want to interrupt you and your alone time with your new book. I know how important reading is to you, just... Anyways,
Is he still with that book?
I don't know. I just called. How are you, by the way? Are you still with the book?
He's still with the damn book.
Yes, Acer, I am still with the book. Please,
fantastic. I'm going to send you some coordinates to a Starbucks. You got to meet us down here because I'll explain when you get here. Just know that it's a good PR thing for your facility. Really good. And also, there is a very snoopy detective who I've decided to call Pop Rocks. And, yeah. Trust me, you'll understand why I called her that once you get down here. Just, I'll send you the...
Great. I'll be there soon, I suppose.
Cool. Leave the book. Hangs up.
Oh, boy.
Leave the book, he says. Why don't you just leave your phone and your computer at home?
Sorry,
Pop
then you're
Rocks?
just gonna...
Pop Rocks, really?
That's a great nickname. Why?
Okay, first off, have you seen the color of your hair? That's exactly what they look like.
Which is a good point to add. Onyx, why don't you go ahead and describe for our audience what you look like?
Right. So Onyx is petite in stature, probably about 5'4". She has strikingly light gray eyes and a very shocking amount of bright pink hair. Goes about down to her waist. Pretty wavy, and she does have a side shave that she very meticulously shaves in every morning. She has quite a few piercings, probably also given to herself every morning. Can usually be found rocking some ripped jeans and a very, very worn leather jacket with a lot of Irish patches strewn all over the clothing. So, yeah.
Okay, look, we all need code names, right? All right? This is yours. You are now
I'm
Papa.
sticking with Roni Kenshin for yours.
All right, wait.
I mean, we already got
Code names
digits.
is when you're part of the coterie. This is not what's going on right now.
Understandable, but at the same time, I don't want anyone knowing that we're affiliated with whoever this is.
You asked to join me. Let me just make that clear. You asked to tag along with my investigation. All I wanted was
Correction.
information.
I thought the deal was that we help with this, and then she gets to talk to Titan.
We are helping.
Yes, please.
She gets to talk to Titan. So yeah,
Fair enough.
we're going to sit here for a while and wait for a friend to come by.
Do I have to stay at this table with you two, or?
I mean, you could leave. We'll just follow you later. I mean, I can track you, especially on Yelp. It's so easy to hack into Yelp.
What the fuck is Yelp?
Oh, it's a place where you review several businesses and or people who have businesses.
Yeah, that sounds miserable.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely miserable. It's like, acting, except you get none of the fame and all the criticism.
Ouch. I will amend and say I'm good at what I do when Crescent's not involved.
Wow, Rich, yeah. And so long as you're not Kindred, you're fine, right? So Acer, you're half human, so she might actually save your life.
I mean, you were trying to kill my mark, so.
You weren't exactly clear on the information to start with.
Neither were you.
All right.
You hired me to help you find someone.
Grayson,
You did not say that you helped me to help you kill
quicker, please.
Wow, really? That's okay. Distinctly remember that being a lot different.
SOS.
Good thing I take better notes.
All right, I will sit at a different table, and you two can canoodle. How about that? You and
Death will ensue soon. Please hurry.
I'm already walking away.
I am checking my phone as I am.
You are getting these messages in real time.
As the last message gets there, I am hurrying to put on my attire. So, the usual jacket, mask, make sure the hood comes over, and take off the glasses, of course, put them in my pocket for now.
As you're quickly getting ready, you hear after a few moments.
I go over to the door and I open it up.
Danica is standing, her hands behind her back, her hair pulled tight in a very business attire pony that goes down to the small of her back. She is wearing very clean businesswoman attire, a white shirt that comes down into a knee-length pencil businesswoman skirt and a black pair of heels. You do see she's actually abandoned her contacts in favor of glasses. It looks very well put together, though not quite her typical whimsical style.
You look a little bit different not having scrubs on.
She kind of, this thing, it's from my old secretary job that I had, while I was still in college. It still fits, which it used to not do. So whatever happened must have helped with that.
No, I think you look great.
Oh, hush. What did you need me here for? As she kind of turns her head to the side, look up at you.
Well, I was going to ask you if I could have a little bit of a bite to eat before I go, as it seems I need to go and help our friends. They are apparently having a meetup with somebody, and my presence has been requested.
She visibly deflates a little bit as you can see her shoulders kind of sink a small bit. Understood, but I figured this would happen. Luckily, I've been taking extra iron supplements, and I've been doing a little extra refreshing on nutrition. I figured with the current state you're in, you would call sooner than later. As she, without waiting for your permission, actually walks into your room and sits down at your office chair. As she begins to unbutton one of the sleeves and begins just rolling them up while looking at you.
You could say no as I walk over to her and I kneel down.
Grayson, there's probably not a single thing I'd say no to you right now. As she looks at you, her smile fades to almost a very serious look as she makes direct eye contact with you. After what? She pauses. After what happened? This is the least I can do.
Danica, we did that. I did that because I wanted to. Because you are too important.
Looks away from you and she looks down a little bit, smiling, nodding. Like I said, it's the least I could do. I've got a handle on this place. First week was a bit challenging, but I'm starting to get a rhythm for it. And you don't have as easy of an access to everybody. Only me and Rudy really know the truth. By the way, you may want to tell Jackson. He's been fucking crying like a baby and getting kind of sour at me that I don't share the same obvious sentiment for obvious reasons.
I should, if he's that broken up about it. Give me some time to think about it. Just
whatever you'd like. This is not necessarily a normal situation. As you see, she pulls out of a small breast pocket a little alcohol wipe that she wipes along her wrist and dries it off with a bit of a wave of her hand. She came surprisingly prepared.
Definitely see if I didn't have the mask on, the bit of the very wide grin as I unlatch the mask and I pick up her wrist and I bite into it.
She watches you the entire time, and she doesn't even flinch. There's a richness immediately as you, without hesitation, bite into her wrist, the blood flowing freely, given freely. And there is a sharp, acute taste of sanguineous flavor that warms you to your core, to the very edges of your fingertips, a very intense, very fiery flavor, almost like hot cinnamon in the back of your throat. How much do you take?
She said she's prepared, so I will take 2.
2 you take. As you take off the edge of that hunger and drink deep, you see she does make a very small whine in the back of her throat for just a moment as you pull away, and almost anticipating it, she doesn't pull away sharply, but she does pull a small handkerchief and immediately just covers the bite.
Oh, I can help with that as well.
She looks a little shy as she pulls the cloth away, as a bit of fresh blood pools down the 2 puncture wounds at the side of her wrist.
I will lick those wounds closed.
She flexes the hand as she watches the wound very rapidly seal itself shut. Right. Guess it's only fair to let you know before you head out. Business has been good. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to recover all the damage from that unfortunate incident with you know what. But many of the individuals at least our patients, are calming down. Many of them are still reporting nightmares on occasion, but it's not nearly as frequent. Most have recovered, at least health-wise. And though I will say, there's one individual that keeps looking for you, keeps dropping your name very aggressively.
Which one?
He's some kind of detective by the name of Walter Ambrose.
Walter.
He is very strange. I haven't taken his call because I didn't know how you would want me to respond to this, but he does keep calling and requesting to speak to you, even though, at least by our front desk, who's got very emotional, I might add, has informed him several times of your passing, though he seems very persistent. I've kind of explained it off to have everyone just relay the messages to me and let them know it is an individual obviously in great shock and grief, but he still keeps calling.
Well, I have some good news about that. At least I do, in fact, know him.
Okay, good. I was getting a little worried.
But if he does, have them transfer the call to you and to let him know that you may receive another tidbit of information as to my final resting place.
Okay. She pulls out of that same breast pocket a small notepad, and she pulls up a small pen out of the back of her hair. She makes out a small note and clicks it, put everything back. I will let him know that we are establishing an official memorial site where he can visit you.
That would be correct.
She smiles. Good. Okay. Is there anything that you want me to get pushed here? I'm getting my bearings. Everything seems to have stabilized. Our security system could use a bit of work. It's okay, but not the greatest. And Rudy has definitely been complaining that it could be better, as well as me personally. I saw Medico yesterday. She came in briefly to speak with me yesterday morning.
Good.
She will be coming back. Obviously, she's aware of the situation as I kind of brought her up to the other half of the story.
No.
I don't think it's a right idea for her to come back immediately, though. She needs a little bit of rest. So, if it's possible, in the time that she's down, since I've been handling both positions on my own for a bit, which is absolutely fine. I can handle it. I've handled worse back in the old days. But we may want to look to maybe expanding our medical facilities. And perhaps even our security ward.
I would agree. Actually, myself and Acer have had some plans to do the very same.
Good. Well, just have Acer let me know what needs to get done so I can sign in your stead. Obviously, your signature is no good anymore. No offense. I just can't really do much. I can't really enact anything that I think would be helpful on my own. Unfortunately, all of our assets are tied up with Acer and his curious investments.
Just the same, but I will in fact actually be talking to him, and we should be coming to a front with the ideas for improvements of this place and maybe even a bit of expansion.
She makes another small note before putting it back in her pocket. Perfect. Is there anything else that you needed? As she smiles very wide towards you.
I grab her hand and I help her stand up. It's like, no, you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As she straightens up and dusts off the front of her and the back of her skirt, straightening things out a little bit. Be safe. I don't want another event of the news. That was not something fun to come back to.
As I looked at her, no, it's as I touched the previous one. I didn't either.
Anyway, I'll leave you be. As she dips her head a little bit before turning and walking out towards the secret entrance out of your office, her heels clacking onto the hardwood floor into the distance.
I watch to see as she walks out, and I make sure that I can't hear her steps, then I put the mask back on, and I lock down my room, and then I'm going to, as I look to my phone again and see all the messages of panic, I will definitely start making my way there with some haste.
Are you walking? Or are you going to try and abscond with a vehicle of some kind?
How far away would it be?
Acer, you must not really have given directions at this current second.
No, that's probably the first thing I did before doing all the texts.
Perfect. It's from this location, maybe about a 20-minute walk.
20 minutes? I will this time. I will walk, but I will do it at a little bit of an elevated pace as I look to the messages and see that maybe some intervention is needed.
In the meantime, as you make your way out, you do walk, just to clarify.
Yes, but I will try and go a little bit quicker to maybe cut off a little bit of that time. If there's a bus stop, I will maybe see if there's one that I can take to get there. Maybe shave a few minutes off.
Any equipment you bring with you?
I will make sure I have my boots.
Your secret shoes, got it?
Yes. Unfortunately, I think my gloves are torched.
The last one, unfortunately, did not survive the desperate attempt at miracle sorcery.
Fair enough. And it's on the list. But I will go ahead and grab a kind of like a worker's pair of like outdoors gloves in their stead. Just something.
Offers a modicum of natural protection, but more decorative than anything for you. But they come in handy in one way or another.
Agreed.
Regardless, you make your way out to the Knights and begin the trek towards location that Acer had given you. As Acer, you literally do watch very slowly a small little pin begin to lead out the backside of the center, down the street. It begins to make its way to a nearby corner where you remember there is indeed a bus stop.
Well, he should be here in 10 minutes, 15 tops.
Sounds good to me.
So tell us a bit about yourself.
How about not?
And I can't blame the guy for trying.
You were bullied in high school, weren't you?
Immensely.
I figured.
Yeah.
Got that vibe.
And then I got revenge.
Ain't good for you.
Fantastic. Glad to see that we're both reclusive shut-ins.
Not by choice.
That's why I have more fun.
And this string of awkward conversation as Onyx, you tentatively sip your coffee. You're starting to get a little bit low, but it's more for familiarity than substance. At least you can taste it still, at least with your rare kind. Crescent, though, as you have moved away from the scene, where are you currently?
Pun intended or no pun intended. I want to get some fresh air, so I'll probably be just right outside the shop, just kind of Admiring the night sky.
As you kind of take a moment to step away and try and calm down, your mind can't help but wander back to the last time you saw Onyx. You coming to her, and admittedly, not necessarily being 100% truthful in your intentions, did requesting her aid, only for the last image of her as a bruja slammed his meaty fist into your sternum, the memories of cracking bone still replaying so freshly in your mind as you almost catapult out of the window and plummeting through a dawning sky. Flames begin to torch you as Onyx skips out the fire escape into the unknown with your mark. One you, to your begrudging, never have been able to find since. What thoughts go through your mind as all this begins to bubble up to the surface?
I would say initially angry, but then I'm trying to be better, so she's almost like forcing herself to try and empathize a little bit, but it's not working very well.
Can't help but notice that the longer you try to push it away, the more you actually begin to feel a certain annoyance begin to itch at the back of your mind. As your humanity has grown colder, a lot of these feelings have been kind of subduing or even outright disappearing, but for some reason, just seeing her again, can't help but notice it put you a little on edge. Is it guilt? No, not quite. You were doing your job. Is it anger? Maybe. It's hard to pinpoint. It's a very confusing feeling, but you notice it's putting you a little on edge. For the sake of brevity, it's not long, about 15 minutes later, in a bus ride in total, that Crescent you look over and see as a old Seattle bus pulls up, nary a soul upon it. And as it pulls away, you do see the familiar visage of a masked Grayson stopping off at the bus stop and beginning to look around, almost paranoid, but with a slight hint of a lost puppy.
I'm just going to kind of nod to him. Do I know you?
I don't know, do you?
What's with the voice?
I'm going to walk over closer to her, like a little bit closer to yourself. Give it a try. We haven't bought the modulator. Give me the voice modulator yet.
Yeah, I think you should wait till mod whatever that thing is comes out.
Fair enough. What are we dealing with here? These are sparse on details.
As you look over Crescent and you get out across the street from the coffee shop, as Onyx and Acer both sit very awkwardly across from each other. No hostilities. However, Grayson, go ahead and give me a wits plus insight.
Oh, there we go.
Onyx, are you overall trying to keep your, as you would know, your more natural temperament under wraps as best you can right now?
Yes.
At least the face value of it.
Yeah, I'd say since Acer, contacted me and hacked my phone, I'm probably a bit more, like I said, a little more, I'm being nicer, bubblier. I'm trying to be friendly, but I am still taking notes every minute on the minute.
Mm-hmm.
And probably picking up my clothes and little fidgeting habits.
Go ahead and give me a manipulation plus etiquette as you're trying to put on a mask and remain extremely pleasant and not creepy.
Not creepy.
Which one was it?
It would be a manipulation plus etiquette.
Okay. 2?
2 successes, Grayson.
Yeah.
I also had 2 successes.
Her first roll.
Go ahead, both you guys roll me 1 hunger die and see what happens.
Oh, is this how we're taking care of ties now?
That's how I'm doing it. I'm trying it out.
We have
Success?
I did not.
She seems very pleasant. There's a professionalism to her face as she smiles very warmly at Acer, very calm, very relaxed. She even leans back in her chair. You do notice the only thing that seems a little, I wouldn't say off, but a noticeable tendency is she writes a note. And as you're kind of leaning into Crescent, waiting for her to respond, you can't help but just instinctually notice about a minute later she writes another note. And he says, another organized soul. It's rare to find someone so diligent. She seems nice enough.
She's a good note taker, I'll give her that.
Note taker. Yeah. Great.
I turn my head to Crescent. You're not jealous, are we?
Okay, what exactly would I be jealous of?
I don't know.
There's nothing to be jealous of, Grayson. I'm fine. I mean, Titan. This is weird.
I raise my hand up to almost for a second, kind of stifle that, but I see she kind of dives back down with her voice thank you.
I mean, strange masked man who I have never met before.
That did not help. Don't do that.
No? Oh, I thought that was really working.
No.
Enjoy your book?
I just turned my head back to the coffee shop.
New spells you're gonna kill herself with?
No, it's difficult. Funny enough,
Difficult?
it wasn't just made by Tremere. And just to preface, I'm being very quiet saying this to her.
Understandable.
I'll look around and make sure that nobody's within earshot.
While this was a visitor street earlier this evening, still being in the late winter months, at this point has begun to die down. Much of the evening rush of people getting off work for the nightly caffeine fix has started to wane down, and people are beginning to head home. It is a Wednesday night, after all.
So it's not a weird, freaky human skin Tremere book?
Oh no, it is absolutely that. But it's also more.
Great. So, she wants to talk to you, and I would appreciate if we could just move this along.
Are you going to come with?
Seriously gonna debate it for a second.
Crescent, we're a coterie. We keep things together. No more secrets, yes.
Yes, you don't have to lecture me about coterie.
Ice.
Going first or something.
Fair enough. So I'm going to check the street, and then I'm going to make my way over to the coffee shop.
I'll follow behind him.
So, were the two of you sitting in awkward silence, or what casual small talk did these two walk into?
After she made the bullied comment on his clothes, she just kind of went back to picking.
Okay, fine. I'm just gonna, read some manga on my phone then.
Where it's not long where if you're kind of picking at the hem of your shirt and of your jacket, picking at your nails, there's always that hangnail that comes back. You really wish you could have picked that before you died. You hear the sounds of expensive shoes hitting the pavement. You could already tell just by the quick sound of it with your current stats, leather, but not any type of retail leather, a handmade shoe, a thick sole, as well as the sounds of heavy boots, familiar to Crescent.
Can I just get right up and go to greet them?
Immediately, to your surprise, Grayson, before you even have a chance to speak, the moment your shoe hits pavement, our new member here stands up very abruptly, straightens herself out, and just turns his face to you, flashing a smile. A very massive flock of side-shaved, curly wavy pink hair, kind of flips off to her shoulder as she smashes you a 1,000-watt smile.
And definitely stick my hand out and say, "It is so nice to finally meet you. I've been waiting."
I look around the room.
There are a few people here and there, but no one really necessarily with invading earshot.
Reach out, and I grab her hand and I pull her close, not quickly, but I just kind of slowly lean towards her. Is there somewhere we can go where it's a little less crowded?
I probably giggle a little bit. Oh boy, aren't you a flirt? We can head outside.
How does he do that?
As I turn, I actually open the door for her, and I hold it open. Please.
You all step outward. Do you have an eventual destination, or are you just trying to find somewhere private?
Probably more private, yeah.
Okay. So, the three of you, as she kind of flashes more of this 1,000-watt smile, you can't help but a slight wink as she walks out the front of the door, her boots clopping against the sidewalk. She doesn't really even check to make sure you guys are following her. She just starts walking at a very brisk, efficient pace, stride after stride, where you find yourselves occasionally have to kind of half jog a little bit to get used to how direct she's walking. She's got a place in mind. It seems obviously she must be leading us somewhere very specific. As she takes lefts and rights and walks down a few blocks, another couple of rights and lefts, 2 rights and then another left. Seems you walk around the block once or twice for going again to another direction. For eventually you do find yourselves, as Onyx, your heightened senses are technically always active, unless you're wishing to focus something specific. You begin to look around, the night clear for you. You notice people getting a little bit less, and you hear the less sounds of foot traffic as you pull into an alleyway. You can smell the bits of faintness as the rain washed against some of the older cobblestone of some of the alleyways between buildings. You can smell some of the leftover trash from the nearby restaurant marinating in a dumpster nearby, but you can listen and you can tell this alleyway is free of derelicts or vagrants. And overall, you seem to be pretty much alone.
So I'll probably, the second I turn into it very sharply, make a very abrupt turn right back at Grayson. And just giggle a little bit and go like, so, the dead walks. Again.
I just tilt my head at her. Seems so.
As I come around the corner, I'm just going to be like, just for reference, Titan, whenever we're out and about, please and thank you.
So I'll pull out my notes and just kind of go through it real quick. And say, so your anime friend here says that in order to get your help with a case, they have to tag along. And in order to talk to you, I have to deal with them. Is that they speak for you on that?
I'm standing right here. We may talk as well.
Okay. I will pull out the manila folder that Acer had given me, as well as everything that I had myself. And I will kind of hand it to Grayson and let him know. So I'm a private investigator, PI, and it seems that 2 of my clients have mysteriously disappeared from your facility, according to your friend here. And I would like your help finding them, as it seems that somehow you seem to be connected, and I can't seem to figure out why.
Take the folder, I flip it open, start scanning.
The faces are recognizable, the 2 individuals, a young man and a young woman. I believe, Onyx, you had written the names for me.
Yeah, Jacob Sunderland and Cheryl Cusack.
Both these individuals had come to your treatment facility within separate time frames. The male individual, he is one of the few that was around during the early days of the facility, before the renovations. He had come into your ward for acute alcoholism that began to lead into a very dangerous lifestyle. He is of the age of 21, so legally he was allowed to drink. However, his family is still more or less being in charge of him, as he stayed with them for a number of times, had preceded an intervention that you've been a part of. He seemed to be showing great strides of improvement. However, 2 months into his treatment, he went out on a approved daily walk, and he never came back. You did your due diligence, working with the police, even asking to your begrudgment John Stone at the time to kind of help keep an eye out, but nothing ever turned up. The family was very upset. That was a very long day. The female unfortunately vanished about 2 weeks into her tenure at the new facility. She was the age of 23. She had a severe addiction to LSD and other psychedelics. She was very combative, very difficult, and let's just say she left some of your employees severely bruised and battered as she kicked open the front door and fled. Also, unable to be found, despite making numerous police reports and the family doing everything they can to help support her relocation back to the facility, but with no luck. They've both been missing for some time, long outside your realm of responsibility.
I point to the first picture of the male alcoholism. We are actually making a lot of good work with him. I did what I could, tried to find him, but there were no traces. I even went as far as to alert the police. They did searches, but there wasn't anything. She, on the other hand, well, it wasn't alcoholism, however. I found that psychedelics alter one's mind quite fervently, and she was very combative. 2 weeks, similar. She ended up hurting quite a few of my staff members and kicking open the door and fled out into the night. I suppose she thought she had better chances out there. Extremely regrettable.
Interesting. See, now, normally I wouldn't have contacted you directly, obviously. I would have gone to the front office to get this information. But, you see, I wouldn't have made the connection at all had I not, seen y'all. It seems that you might be a little bit more connected in this issue than I originally previously thought, which is where your friends agreed to accompany me, apparently, to a new club that we're going to follow a lead. But for some reason, whenever I look at these cases, all I get are visions of you.
Like literal visions or metaphorical?
I
mean, you saw them.
Storyteller, would I be able to put some pieces together and take a guess to what?
Give me an intelligence plus occult.
Okay. So close. 3 successes.
3 successes. That's more than enough. The moment she flashes that 1,000-watt smile and she kind of points to the side of her head, you notice a very specific kind of gleam in her eye. It dawns on you. While she's putting up a very strong mask and a very bright smile, those eyes seem to almost stare through you, taking in every ounce of information at a rapid pace. Like every movement you make, every fiber of your essence is being systematically photographed in her mind. And there's a small little head tilt, just a very slight gesture. And it hits you all at once. The fractured ones. The ethereal ones. Malkavian. Those that know things they should not know.
So I tilt my head back. Never a quiet moment with your clan, is it?
I wouldn't know. I don't talk to them.
Ooh. Any particular reason why?
Nothing you need to know.
Hey, so you have no idea what the hell a Malkavian is.
I don't.
You vaguely remember the term Malkavian primogen when you and the rest of your coterie had systematically uprooted Son Newberry.
He's the only one I know that was Malkavian. I still don't have an understanding of what the hell those things are.
Well, fortunately, he's dead, so...
That does give you a certain sense of joy, Onyx. You were very disconnected from most kindred. However, Jason Newberry, that name, you were enough to the ear to the ground in politics to know that for quite a few decades, he was the quote-unquote voice of your clan. Anything that hadn't really affected your clan, he was responsible and negotiating for, kind of like a diplomatic leader of sorts in the Camarilla. And it was actually a very interesting knowledge to find that he had succumbed to a noose outside the new prince's haven as the sun burnt him to ash. There have been many a nights you've had strange and fractured premonitions that involved various degrees of unspeakable cruelty surrounding Jason. It's nice to not have that one hanging around. Though it matters little to you, it is still good to know to put a name to a face of those that were responsible for that.
That's what's going on. I figured, we help the private investigator out a little bit. She clears up some of the nasty rumors, and then our new head of the facility doesn't have to deal with any of that BS.
It sounds like an equal trade to me.
Has she come back to work yet?
She will be.
Okay.
I talked. May let her have a few days off, just to recover.
Understandable.
She has called him, though, at least.
Where exactly are we going again?
Looks like a place called the Last Drop.
Grayson, go ahead and make a Wits plus Streetwise Crescent as well.
Oh, okay. I'm involved.
You.
Outside of my range of clubs I normally attend.
The initial feeling you get is that you've heard the name once or twice among your scene. It's more of a hybrid thing. You never really were interested beyond the occasional. Wait, they do play some metal? Whatever.
One success.
Okay.
I got myself 3.
Crescent, the name is vaguely familiar. It's one you remember in the cornerstone of your mind. It's really familiar. You feel like you have been there. You think. But that escapes you. But Grayson, you've heard of this place. This particular establishment off the, not too far away from the main street of University Way, down near the deeper parts of Seattle. It is definitely not the biggest nightclub in Seattle itself. However, it is definitely a hotspot for young adults, especially popular with those of the college variety to go wild. It is a heavy metal EDM fusion type club. Some of the more the new age stuff that you kind of would normally sweep under the rug because its tastes far, far, far miss yours. However, there has been more than one occasion where you have had to get involved in some of your patients being found there comatose, as it is definitely a hotspot for the trading of psychedelics, rampant alcohol, and street drugs. It is definitely popular, though not of the hottest in Seattle.
Well, I'll say this about your, as our destination is, as the kids would put it, if you want to get fucked up, that would be the place to do it. Had to bring a few patients out of there.
Literally or figuratively?
Both. I can tell whatever you need, you can find it.
I'm gonna hate this.
All right, let's go party.
As we walk there, can I ask Grayson a little bit more about some of the stuff that I saw inside too?
Feel free.
Such as the that mask.
While she's talking to him too, I'm keeping a close watch on Grayson. Like I'm ready to defend him any second.
I will continue to have my notebook in hand, and I'll explain to him what I saw with said vision.
She explains as you've been walking, asking for more questions as you guys begin going through down this alleyway. She brings up a image of a feminine lithe figure with long dark hair and a porcelain mask upon her face as she stands behind iron wrought bars. Equally another image of that same mask as it lays upon the ground, sitting in a pile of ash.
Yeah. I'll also let him know that I got this vision in a series of flashes of watching his facility be destroyed and him being pulled out of a truck.
Oh, these are true. And here I am.
But you don't know of any connection to yourself and any sort of mask, or have any idea of what it might be?
I couldn't say. Honestly, I haven't had to use such things until I had to assume this temporary change of character. I feel as though I must ask. That was a very strong premonition. To get as much information as you did, you have a very wild imagination, or, it's very rude to ask a woman her age, but how long has it been since your return?
Oh, quite a while.
Fair.
Probably longer than you, I reckon.
Oh, I would almost guarantee it.
I keep to myself. My kind are not the most fun to be around.
You can actually hear this chuckle as Grayson does try to stifle it a little bit, but do you happen to know who I belong to? We are not the first ones on the call list, so to speak.
Fair enough. Probably just continue. I'd take another note.
I bet you have a mountain of notebooks where you reside.
Oh, you don't want to see my library.
We have a library.
Probably the best in the city.
Mine is growing.
You can't help but notice a very slight chuckle underneath Grayson's breath as you continue to lead down the street, Onyx. You all begin to walk down the streets, the rain continuing to come down a little bit harder. The smell of wet stone and watered-down gasoline assaults your senses as people begin to take shelter from the rain. However, in a very jarring stance, it's not long as you reach towards the University Street area of Seattle that you all begin to hear the rhythmic thumping, very loud electronic music. As you get near Capitol Hill, this loud music grows in intensity, which can be heard from several blocks away, where a 2-story brick building squeezed into an extended plot of land is in full swing. A large banner glowing in bright neon light reads, "The Last Drop," as a rhythmic, lighted pattern of a singular red drop of liquor falls one after another off the final letter of the sign into a martini glass over and over again. 2 very large, full-bodied windows of frosted glass show a blurring blend of psychedelic lights in full blast as a heavy techno bass causes the glass itself to vibrate. A massive line of people stand at the front entrance that are all huddling together underneath a very modest awning that is nowhere near long enough to cover the various individuals as it wraps around the entire block of the club. At the very front end, you both see a very massive man in a very expensive tuxedo and a velvet rope behind him as 2 young men and a woman seem to be speaking with him as he slides his finger over a tablet for a moment before making a sign for them just to hit the road. They all 3 seem to argue for a moment, and he just stares at them. Not a single ounce of empathy on his face. He leans down and whispers for a moment before the 3 look to each other and hang their heads and venture off somewhere else to wet their whistle for the evening. Or as Grayson would say, get fucked up.
Is that a tablet, like an actual electronic one, or is it like clipboard?
It looks like a tablet. As you don't see him have a pen in his hand, he seems to be scrolling with his finger. It's black and thick with the case, a logo of the club on the back of it. It's a tablet. Not hard to see.
Can I just walk right up to him and flash a badge?
You definitely can. Before the 3 of you have any time to react, you begin to kind of speak to each other and develop like a plan. You both look, Crescent, you look up as the first to notice as Onyx has already begun walking across the street.
I imagine I've seen her do this before.
Once. As you walk up to this very broad-shouldered man, you have to nudge your way past a few people immediately who give you, "Hey, what the fuck? No cutting in line, bitch!"
I just move right on past him and, probably elbow a few people back, but...
The bouncer immediately, knock it off. Get the back of the line. Looks back down on his tablet.
I pull out my badge, flash it at him. They've got some official business. They need to be chatting with the manager inside. Or you, if you can answer my questions.
He looks up at you, looks down at the badge. For this, go ahead and give me a charisma plus persuasion. And let's see here. I'll check your advantages. You can go ahead and add your fame to this.
Cool. What? Say those all one more time. Sorry.
So it's going to be charisma plus persuasion, and go ahead and add the dots of fame you have.
6.
6 successes.
6 successes.
He looks down at the badge, looks up at you. Fucking great. He starts shoving people back to give a little bit more breather, and people begin complaining and booing at him. It's like, if anybody wants to even get into this fucking club tonight, you'll listen. Back the fuck up for a second. Jeez. Give the lady some space. As he kind of steps off a little bit closer to the door, he just kind of signals you to step closer. Alright. What do you need to know?
First off, I'll pull out a couple of the photos and just say, I just need to talk to whoever's who's ever on duty tonight, if the manager's in. Plus, I'd love to know if you have ever happened to see these two faces here who look a little familiar to you. And I'll flash them the photos.
He looks at the photos for a moment. Kind of tilts his head for a moment. The girls, no, never seen him, but the guy, I think I saw him maybe 3-4 months back. Came one night, caused a bit of an uproar. Not sure what happened. My guys inside were the one that dealt with him. Apparently, he got pretty drunk. I'm probably not the best guy to talk to you about this. We really don't need that much trouble. Let me call the boss. He's the more the guy you want to talk to. And he kind of looks past her. Are these those your friends over there? The one that's staring at you weirdly? As his eyes kind of rest on you, Crescent, for a moment, he kind of leans away.
They're with me. We'll say that.
Fair. So 4 of you. Got it. 1 sec.
I'm just going to lean over to Crescent and be like, are we sure we don't want this pink one to join the crayon box?
Crescent, as you watch this bouncer kind of turn away, and Onyx, you notice that he puts 2 fingers up to a clear earpiece and he begins speaking quietly into the side of his collar. Crescent, it hits you. Why you know this place. And it does not make you happy. This is the last club you went to as an aspiring DJ where you met Enzo. As many, many very uncomfortable memories come flooding back to you almost instantaneously.
She's not going to say anything, but she's definitely gritting her teeth, and the fangs are kind of starting to come out.
After a few moments, Onyx, you hear him whispering like, yeah, she's got a badge, boss. No, I didn't know. What do you want me to do? She looks official. Yeah, I said she's got a badge. She's asking about a couple kids that apparently, I don't know. She kind of looks back at you for a moment. She seems pretty fucking stubborn.
I just smile and wave.
She's also kind of creepy. Okay. Yeah. All right. Before I say anything, you're not here to cause trouble, okay? Right? Like, we don't need any bad publicity. We're not involved with anything, right?
No, just looking for some information on some missing persons.
He pauses.
One of their last whereabouts seems to be here.
He pauses as you see him actually, physically look over towards his earpiece. All right. Looks to you and gestures to the 3 of you to step forward. All 4 of you now group together. He turns around and pulls the rope behind. I can't take you too close to the boss. I gotta hold the door for you. His name is Jordan. If you don't want to get his bad side, call him Mr. Ramirez. He's kind of flashy. One of my guys will take you up and see him.
You said this was a club that's a little rock and a little EDM?
A fusion of both, and as he kind of begins opening the door, the music comes slamming out like a flatbed truck in a china shop. It's not bad, but it's definitely, you can tell immediately, it's a local talent type situation. No big names, a lot of independent artists. It's interesting, but you might need a few drinks if you're into that kind of scene. Crescent, immediately you think, I could do so much better. God, I miss my old set. As you're kind of having to...
Do I see that?
Give me a wits and awareness.
Yeah, definitely. 5.
5 successes. You notice for a split second, do you see this very, very blatant flash of irritation and almost to the degree of repulsion the moment the music hits her, like a foul-smelling wave of sound. You could definitely tell the face of a critiquing artist.
But so I see her having an issue. And Acer is dancing around.
Oh, blatant. Not even a roll for that one. It's obvious. No shame.
Yeah, so
none.
Then to piss her off, I probably join in.
And almost just like that, as there's a very small brief moment of eye contact, Onyx immediately begins following stride. And almost the 2 of them suddenly begin to get in almost this very hard EDM rhythm as you guys begin strutting in, causing a series of complaints from the line behind you as you all enter. There is a much shorter woman in the same style of tuxedo, dressed to the nines, dark brunette hair, wavy and curled, pulled back into a very tight ponytail that goes down all the way to her mid-thigh. Several piercings along one side of her ear, maybe 4 of them, and a small neck tattoo peeking underneath from her collar. She's wearing heavy eyeliner, pale as all can be, as she just looks at you with a very resting RBF and goes, "This way," and begins leading you through the crowd. You can smell the overwhelming stench of strong colognes and perfumes, extensive liquors, and there's almost a sweet pepperminty tang to the air that twists and swirl along with the multicolored lights that cast blinding streams of luminosity that bounce brightly over all the very fancy colored bottles of this very long, double extended bar that goes from the front entrance to almost the entire backside of the wall, as 4 or 5 different bartenders are doing their best to keep up with this massive influx of individuals requesting for drinks, slamming down glasses, throwing down money, throwing down cards. It is, despite the venue at least not showing the most impressive talent, it is, by reputation-wise, packed. The occasional bouncer, as you can see, always seem to line along the walls of male and female, size varying, but all dressed to the same elaborate, expensive tuxedo, and they're all eyes, all watching the floor, not even reacting in the slightest. Very stoic, I would even say. Even keeping a watchful eye as this woman leads you around the outskirts of the crowd, just between the mosh of bodies in the bar itself. They seem to all look at you as you walk in, seeming to be staring very intently at these new individuals being escorted. This way, not far. Don't get lost. As she kind of pushes off some guy to the side who kind of just begins to just continue to vibe off into the bar corner. Yes.
Sorry, quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry to interrupt. Can I, as I'm walking through everything, as I was saying, I was kind of dancing around with it. Can I be like touching anything I can possibly get my hands on, trying to force something?
You're trying to force a premonition?
Maybe. I mean,
it is your ability. You can try and force one. For this, go ahead and give me a rouse check, which is going to be your roll hunger die. Okay. As you begin grazing your hand along the bar top, you gently touch someone's back ever so slightly. Your hand kind of brushed up on top of a martini glass, trying to find some sense of a premonition. You will your vitae to your mind and begin to alleviate your sixth sense.
It was a 10.
10. That is a success.
Cool.
So you do not get hungrier, but the ability goes off regardless. Give me a resolve plus auspex roll. How many successes will dictate how much, if at all, you're able to glean in any information.
Okay. 3 successes.
3 successes. It's a decent amount of successes. You brush as much as you can. Your hand slides over the sweaty back of someone and instantly not. And your hand begins to run along the bar. This is almost this vibration as you kind of beginning to dip into the sway of the music. There's this rhythm that kind of draws you closer. And as your hand kind of brushes up over the rim of someone's glass haphazardly, a flash kind of hits in front of the back of your mind. It is of a very tight angled shot in psychedelic overexposure of color of a martini glass being filled out by a bartender. You can see it's in the middle of this almost fanfare fancy fill, as, you know, bartenders would flip bottles to fill drinks and mix cocktails. But as he seems to be in the midst of pouring this drink, you can see he pulls a small tablet from beneath his sleeve. He's in the process of dropping it into the glass at the same time. For 3 successes, that's the vision you see.
Making note of it.
It's not long before you guys are led towards the very back way. And as you kind of turn, there's almost a facade-like wall that, as you turn around the corner, if you were looking straight out, you wouldn't even notice it. But as you turn, you can see there's almost this semi-invisible staircase that winds up higher towards the upper building. She begins leading you up the staircase that begins to very tightly navigate you up and around the back end of the stage, up towards the second story, But immediately as you get upstairs, you realize the sound begins to dampen exponentially. And it doesn't take a rocket science to realize as you get onto the main floor above, up here it's a bit more soundproofed. The volume is still booming and you can feel vibration in your feet, but it's not as overpowering. One could actually breathe and not feel the vibration in their chest up here. There are a series of rooms that kind of break off into this almost Y-shaped hallway as it gets towards the end, but she leads you towards the very end to one of the biggest doors, and it's the VIPs. There's a pause. You can hear sounds of shuffling and a lady giggle. You see the bouncer take a long breath and wait. Send him in! She rolls her eyes as she opens the door inward, staying up to the side, then you all enter in.
I'll go in after Onyx.
I'll follow in behind Grayson. Question,
Yes.
Storyteller.
Yes.
Because this actually has something to do later on. In this club, are there any colored lasers lasting out everywhere?
Oh, it is a myriad of light show. There is no expense paid to the amount of light work that's going on here. You can see just by looking around in the midst of your vibing, there are over a dozen very high-tech looking laser light projectors and spotlights of multiple colors. Many different light flares going up the front of the stage with fog machines and all the nine works. It is definitely at its core an EDM setup.
And as those lasers pass by us, how exactly does the laser specifically interact with Crescent? Not the thing that's
the device itself.
Shooting not the device itself, but the laser that's coming out of the device.
Passes over her without a problem.
Interesting. Okay, that's good. Okay, and then I will follow in.
Any last minute thoughts there, Crescent? Just double checking.
She just wants to be out of this place.
Fair enough. You all begin to funnel your way inside, where to say this was an office is an exaggeration. As the moment you step inside, you can immediately get hit by the hard smell of some Old Spice cologne. You're not entirely sure of the brand, but it doesn't necessarily smell good, but it's definitely potent. Onyx, with your senses, you always have to kind of lean back and squint just to kind of keep the smell from invading your senses a little bit hard, as it feels like a fumigation in here. Immediately your feet go from very nice hard wood to very bright neon orange shag. As you kind of walk in, looking around, there is this massive leopard print double bed on one side of the corner. The sheets very rustled, as there appears to be a woman laying in the bed, covered up. She has very tousled blonde hair, as she seems to be just leaning back, just kind of scrolling through her phone, occasionally looking over to your host, which you only be assumed is Mr. Ramirez, as he wears a very bright pink leopard spotted robe over his what would be nude body, as it seems that's the only thing he's wearing, as he's leaning against a very ostentatious but modern steel and glass desk. It appears to be a set of double monitors in the front. As you look along the walls, there is just all sorts of rave paraphernalia from different venues and concerts, preferably probably across the world. You do see some awards of businessship for the club itself, some file cabinets in the back, obviously, for records, and what appears to be a double-length energy drink bar on one side.
Wow.
It's a swag pad, to say the least. As he just smiles a very wide grin. He appears to be roughly about 5'8", firmly built based on what you can see. Very clean cut up to the jawline with a very thin connecting goatee that goes down the front of his face and a mustache and sombrero kind of combo with it. Heavy buzz fade all around with a very, very tiny elevated mohawk that go down the front to the back of his head. It kind of coils down to this weird little rat's tail, gold ring braided into the very end of it. You do see his nails are painted black as he leans back against the desk, kind of splaying out, so to speak, as you all enter in, half leaning on the desk. Come on, sit. You, obviously you barged your way past my big boys, as he gestures to a very large, almost half-moon-shaped sofa of matching color to the shag. upon looking at it, you can already tell it's of a strange, feltish velvet material. For at least for you, Onyx, and then salt to every sense you have.
Yeah, I want to clean everything.
For this case, due to your particular issues, I need a composure plus resolve.
Oh, okay. 3.
3. Crescent and Grayson, you notice that the mask never leaves Onyx's face, but for a split moment, you see as she kind of tucks a hand behind her and she begins white-knuckling hard, to the point where her hand is almost shaking the moment she steps into this room. But for a moment, she seems to relax, but she continues to start to fidget with the edges of her shirt and her jacket, trying to find Grayson you'd recognize definitely as a soothing attempt.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a little bit of neuroticism going on here.
Certainly take note of that as well.
But overall, you've maintained yourself, Onyx. Just keep it cool. Mr. Ramirez plays a hand out. You can see just a myriad of rings of gold and silver, ostentatious gemstones on the pinky itself as he kind of flares about. Well, you gonna stand there all day like wallflowers? You gonna sit? You guys want a drink?
I
got Red Bull.
I pull up my badge, flash it, and said, I don't need to sit. This won't take long, sir.
Oh, well, excuse me. What's your name, lady?
I don't offer him a hand to shake, but I do give him a smile and like a little nod and say, Onyx Kennedy, Private Investigator Services. I'm here to talk to you about a few missing persons. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions?
No. I mean, sure. What am I going to do to help?
I'm going to walk in. I'm not going to sit down. However, I'm going to lean on his table.
So you actually walk around and stand next to him?
Oh, is that where he is?
Yeah, that's where he's currently leaning against. He's leaning against his desk.
Oh, yeah.
What a power move. Just
Definitely.
So.
100%. Not trying to oppose on him, but
he does like look at you very crossly from was like, okay, Hotshot, could you like back the fuck off like a few steps? This is my desk.
Put up both my hands and I back a few paces and cross them.
Okay, what the fuck is going on here? Like, for real. Like, you guys don't look like cops. Especially you as he points to you, Acer.
As soon as he says that, Acer's not going to say anything. He's just going to look and just be like,
my friends are here on an advisory notice. It won't affect our conversation.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure Mr. Weeb, the eye is catching thing in the room. I mean, besides your gorgeous face, after all.
Oh, thanks, sugar. I will show him the photos and give him the names and say, it looks as if 2 individuals have gone missing and their families would very much like to have them home. And I have it on good authority from your bouncer downstairs that this Jacob here has in fact been at your facility.
He kind of leans over. He doesn't take the photos from me. He just kind of stretches his neck out like he can't be bothered to lean off his desk and kind of looks.
Oh, I don't want him touching him.
He doesn't even try to. He just kind of looks and... Sorry, baby cakes. A lot of people come through here. Don't really recognize a couple teens. Sorry.
That's interesting because I've been doing some research on this place, you know.
I'm flattered.
It seems that, your bouncer had said that Jacob did in fact cause quite a ruckus while he was here and that he seemed to be, not quite himself. My friend here, as I point to, Grayson, is a little bit of an expert on, narcotics. And, from what I'm understanding is there might not be your bartenders might not be serving just alcohol.
He raises an eye at you. What are you implying, miss?
I'd just love to take a look around and, see what else you might have behind that counter.
So what are you, a cop?
Of sorts.
You have a warrant?
I don't need one for just asking questions, sir. I mean, if you would love to help a family get reunited here, I mean, good PR for your business.
Go ahead and give me a... Are you trying to intimidate him? Or what angle are you specifically trying to push here, for clarity's sake?
Oh, I'm batting my eyelashes like crazy because he called me cute earlier.
Okay, for this, give me a manipulation plus performance.
While this happens, storyteller,
yes,
just out of plain curiosity, how much would a place like this cost?
Give me an intelligence plus finance.
Thank you.
So I was going to ask, the mask that I have on, would you say it blocks off my eyes a decent amount?
If it's still the half mask that we had spoken for, it goes up to the bridge of your nose.
It's like mine right now. Like that's what it would cover. Just this part right here.
Okay,
it's a little more cyberpunk kabuki, but it comes up to the bridge of your nose.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I won't do what I thought I was going to do, but can I take a look around the room?
Give me what's in awareness and tell me what you're looking for.
Okay,
Actually, what's investigation?
What's investigation?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
what are you looking for?
I'm looking for maybe traces of a vault.
Traces of a vault,
like a hand safe or something like that.
Something you keep hidden.
Right.
All right, go ahead and roll for it. Onyx, your roll. 3 successes. Okay. Acer.
I got 5 successes.
5. Okay. And Grayson.
2 successes.
Okay. And just got to ask, Crescent, is there anything particular you want to do in this moment as well?
I wanted to study kind of their body language, see if they seem like they're hiding something, if they're uncomfortable, intimidated, or if they just seem like this is day of business.
Give me a wits plus insight. So, as she's rolling that, I'll start with Acer here. A place like this, you said you had 3 successes?
5.
5, thank you. That's a lot. Place like this, equipment, property, dead center in Seattle, easily push 5 to 800K. Easy.
Okay, and I assume if I wanted to be like a dick, buy the place and basically own it, could I do that?
You would have to buy it from the owner, and there'd be since you really don't have the connections to try and sideswipe this guy, at least illegitimately, you could potentially buy it. You do have quite a lot of resources, but it would involve a direct transaction between you and the owner.
So yes, but the potential is there. I just can't do it because there are more roadblocks.
You can't do it illegitimately with where you're at. You have a lot of money. You don't necessarily have the means to be able to shadow buy and push him out due to technicalities.
You're trying to pull a Crazy Rich Asians?
Yeah, you have to.
Basically, I wanted to see if I could pull the whole I own this place now. I'm your boss. You're going to tell me everything.
He's trying to Yakuza it with just a giant case of money and just...
Basically, but it seems there's slight more nuance in that. But at the very least, I now have a range. I wanted to see if I had the capital, could I easily do it?
To potentially match what this place is worth, it would cost you at least 3 dots of resources up front.
Okay, so I can.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Thank you.
Grayson, you said you had 2, correct?
I did.
Okay. Looking around the room, 2 successes. You see, there are a number of places where someone could hide things. The bed has an underside. You can tell that much just by the way it sits. And you try not to carry there too long because you start to notice the girl is kind of giving you looks. You're not a fan of that. It's not your type. There are numerous very large paintings along the wall. Different photographs of VtM concerts, various artists. You do even see one where it seems to be a signed portrait of Pontus from Wested Penguins sitting against the wall. They seem to possibly be things behind it, though you can't really tell for sure from this angle. The disc itself is pretty bulky. It does not have a open front, even though it is a steel metal, so there could be potentially something behind the disc as well. there are definitely places you could potentially hide things.
Okay.
Crescent, what'd you roll?
3 successes.
3 successes. Looking over the demeanor, the woman on the bed seems extremely relaxed. And I mean extremely relaxed. She looks like she could give literally 2 shits that the 4 of you are here right now, to the point where she even seems a little bit annoyed. Obviously, things were being interrupted. As she kind of just...
Is it drugged, or is it like genuine, just relaxed?
She looks like she's on a little something. Nothing too severe, but enough to help the mood, so to speak.
Okay.
Mr. Rodriguez, though, he gives a very relaxed nature. Let me check something. You can't help notice that while Onyx is flirting with him, you can tell she's pulling some moves, but you've seen her do once or twice when you briefly met, batting those large eyelashes, flipping the hair ever so slightly, really pulling her trade, and doing a very good job of it. He does relax a little bit, and he does smile in a very flirtatious manner. He even seems like lick the side of his teeth a little bit. But his shoulders are kind of stiff. His arms are crossed against his chest. And his eyes do carry over her body, give her a bit of an up-down. He does look at you, and then Grayson, and then Acer, respectively, just for flashes of a moment, trying to keep, almost like he's keeping tabs with where you all are at any given point in time. He almost seems to be taking as much room as he can in front of his desk as well. It seems he's tense. There's a relaxation to him, and he's definitely pawning it off like he's chill. Everything's fine, but there's a tenseness coming off of him.
I'm going to walk kind of away from the group towards the wall, but kind of walking in the direction of the desk, but I'm doing it in a way that's not too obvious.
As you kind of like walk up towards the one side, he does kind of lean towards that direction just a little bit. Take as much room as you can on the desk, but he does flash a smile at you. If you want yourself a Red Bull, redhead, go for it. Anyway, baby doll, look, I apologize. I don't mean to come off this room. As you see, he flashes with a smile. My name is Jordan. I don't mean to get all huffy. It's been a little stressful the past couple of weeks. Look, to answer your question simply, one, I really don't appreciate the accusation you're making. All my guys are trained. All my guys are clean. All my guys are good. All right? I trust them. And we've never really had any type of legal problems before. Have we had a few scuffs every now and then? Yeah, it's a fucking bar. It's a club. People drink. People get rowdy. People listen to music. They get hopped up. Shit happens. Yes, and when shit happens, my guys take care of it and throw their asses out into the alleyway or get them in a cab. At least the best they can before shit goes down. To respond to narcotics, I will officially say we don't peddle that stuff here. At least officially. But it is a club. Shit happens. People sneak shit in. It's Seattle, for God's sakes. You can literally go down the street into a fucking parking garage and get meth off a fucking hobo. Complete with a dirty needle. And as long as no one causes a scene or no one gets sick, we would never know. They pregame. I can't control what people do outside the club and bring it in. That's why we got bouncers. We try and check for her. We make sure they're okay. And they seem good enough. They're here. But people are crafty.
No, I understand. I figured it worth a shot checking in. But, I mean, yeah, drugs are as a dime a dozen around here, but people going missing?
I don't know anything about going missing. I really don't. I want to help you. I wish I could say, yeah, I totally remember that kid. I don't. The thing about it is we could have a brawl twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, depending on who comes in. I've had to have my guys escort jackasses for getting way too drunk and grabbing on women. And you know what? When you're a club, you don't want nobody grabbing on the ladies. Ladies bringing business. I mean, look at you fine ladies bringing more business in just by being here. So, yes, I've had to escort people out. I've had to kick people out before. It happens. But I don't know anything about going missing.
I was just going to say, do I get the sense they're telling the truth on that? Like that line in particular?
Which line specifically?
I don't know anything about anybody going missing.
Give me a wits plus insight.
2 successes.
2 successes. He seems pretty confident. Seems pretty genuine. Lots of peacocking.
Would I have remembered him at all, or is this a new owner?
For this?
Because I imagine that I would have worked with the owner had I done a gig here.
It's not the same owner. You actually don't recognize him.
So,
Alright, you care about this club so much. How long have you been here exactly?
Kind of always had it.
Really?
I mean, I wasn't directly in charge of it for a while. I was kind of management. And then the guy before me, the guy that was the original owner, he passed on, and we were really good friends. Gave it down to me. Didn't really have any family to speak of, and we got really close before he got sick.
I would like to insight check that.
It's an insight.
Insight check!
3 successes.
3 successes. He seems earnest. He kind of lingers on his words a little.
I would like to pull out my phone and do some digging as to the history of this place. Just dancing around in the background.
Take some time then, as you kind of try and keep the facade. Intelligence, and for this, I guess the closest thing would have to be academics, as you're looking at the history of this place.
5 successes.
5 successes. We'll come back to you in a moment. This is going to take a few minutes, as you're kind of keeping it casual.
Just as a small side, if he's not directly looking at me, is there a small moment that I can activate Sense the Unseen as I kind of looks like I'm just kind of doing a swirly bird of the room. I look away from him. I turn it on to see if there's any traces of any magical essence.
You definitely can do that. Doesn't seem to be anything magically inclined here. Nothing seems to be supernaturally hidden, as that veil, that light blue ethereal kind of invades your senses. You kind of peek around just for a moment, kind of blinking through it and staying hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing supernatural, out of the ordinary.
Okay.
It's nothing that's super magically hidden.
He's human.
Give me a intelligence plus medicine.
I was like, I should have done this the moment I walked in this room. 3 successes.
You can hear a very faint heartbeat as he kind of elbows you a little bit, kind of push you off, and he feels a little warmer than you. But you can't help but notice as you kind of readjust yourself, kind of him kind of declaring, "This is my space, stop getting in my bubble." You can't help but notice you don't see any fangs. Skin's pretty pale, though. Paler than what you'd expect. Someone that seems to be a seasoned clubber, someone that put a lot of effort for saying his looks, and kind of give him a small look down, and you realize, at least along the face and neck, his skin tone doesn't match his arms. He's wearing makeup.
I'll look over to the girl. We'll look at her neck, her arms.
Clean. You can hear her heartbeat.
But there's the clear division between his arms, the color of his arms and the rest of him.
The neck up is roughly maybe 2 shades darker. So there he is indeed wearing some kind of cosmetic. His skin along his arms and wrists and hands, and even his exposed legs and his brightly orange furry slippers that he's standing in, significantly paler.
I'm going to walk over to Onyx, casually, but as I face away from him, I kind of lean down to her side. I don't know if he's actually human. So I just pretend to bob a little bit with the music that I can hear as I circle around the room just a little bit, or keep into that side.
She'll just give a very, very subtle nod.
At this point, he'll
and then,
do a very long stretch of breath in, breath out. So, sorry. Do you anything else I can do for you, ladies? I mean, if you guys want to have a good time, there's definitely plenty of club downstairs. You're welcome to go hang out and have a good time. Call it a freebie taste.
I'll probably I'll lean in and give him a smile And
he leans back towards you a little bit too.
Can I get any like check of what he is by leaning in a little bit closer?
Are you trying to do heightened senses?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's check heightened senses because again, more abilities. It's one of those things like all of your senses are generally much more sharper on a baseline, but you can choose to enhance one very specifically. It's free, so
okay.
you can do it multiple times.
Cool.
You lean in, and as you kind of flash the smile, and he leans in with you. And you give a quick, hard Old Spice cologne. Hard. It's almost overwhelming. You have to kind of recoil for a second. But there's something underneath it. It's a bitterness. Acrid bitterness that you smell on a dead and decaying body. As it's exactly the kind of smell that you experienced when your father was in a casket and your husband died in your arms.
Oh, fun.
This man carries a stench of death.
Okay. She probably leans in and she'll probably just very restrained, or at least trying to sound still flirty, but very restrained, just say, well, we might have to take you up on that. Do you mind if we head downstairs?
Go, have a good time, enjoy yourself, sweetheart. And if you kind of looks back up to you and kind of looks over at the bed a bit, you want to have a little VIP night, let me know. And I'll hook you up.
I will pretend like I'm kind of considering it and like fluffing my hair up and kind of looking around the room a little bit, but I would like to make my own kind of investigation around the room, what I can catch.
Okay, go ahead and give me a wits. Actually, for this, give me a composure and awareness.
Okay. 3. That seems to be my number.
3's not bad. 3's pretty good. Looking around the room, it's very loud. That's the very first thing that hits you initially, of course. At this point, you could definitely tell the woman on the bed she's definitely high. She's not to the point where she's not functioning, the type of kind you might want to call the cops for, but she's been definitely recreating in something. You can almost smell with your heightened senses a little bit of almost like a skunk-like odor around that direction. Very light, probably weed. The bed itself is messy. You can definitely tell as you kind of turn around a little bit. One of the paintings that I mentioned before, there's a slight scuffing towards the edge of one of the frames. And Acer, at this point, you do know roughly about 5 years ago, a man by the name of Mark Schwartz was the original owner of this establishment. He had been the owner for nearly 15 years before he mysteriously and suddenly died of a heart attack.
No sickness then. Oh, well, there's a hole in that story. And I'm just going to pipe up and be like, so you don't know anything about the people we're looking for? Any information at all?
Sorry, Weeblet. I told you everything I know. I don't know nothing about no missing kids. If they're old enough to come to the bar, we check IDs. That's all we care about. And if they're losing their shit on my dance floor, my bouncers get them in a cab or they make sure they call somebody. But I can't help what happens if someone stumbles in the back alley and gets snatched. It's Seattle. It's the city. Shit happens. Not to sound cold, it's just the truth.
No. That's completely fair. It's the same thing with your friend passing away. I'm sure you can't help heart attacks. Oh, I'm sorry. You said sickness, right?
Go ahead and give me a manipulation plus intimidation.
I am not good at those.
Yeah, I can differ with that.
Like, I have some zingers, but my dice don't let me do anything, man. 3.
3? Not bad for you.
I know, right? I literally had to get all successes.
As soon as you say it, yeah, he had a heart condition. It's kind of a sickness. Heart attacks happen. It sucks.
Right. My apologies,
Look, I ain't a fucking doctor, man. It's shit happens, okay?
Oh, no, that's fine. I mean,
I don't really
clearly
like
you can't
Vamily.
tell.
We were close. It's not something I enjoy, okay?
Agreed. I just, because your story is not making sense.
Oh,
We are
I'm
trying
sorry.
to find.
Forgive me for not liking to relive someone that I cared about suddenly passing away.
I'm not saying you didn't care about him. I'm saying the story.
I'm gonna at this point try and recover a little bit because I don't want to get kicked out. I want to go downstairs, so I'm gonna be like, "Hey, things happen, guys. You know what? How about we all go get that drink, okay?"
He does kind of look over to you, and he immediately kind of relax a little bit, but he's still kind of flashing the charm. All right. Yeah, okay. Just put a muzzle on that one. It's kind of a dick.
I think you two have a lot in common.
Girl, I appreciate you trying to bolster up your friend's confidence there, but at least I can walk around with my face to the public.
You call that your face because I just see a gunk of makeup.
It's club makeup. Fuck's your problem?
Hold up.
And yet you wouldn't put it on the rest of you?
I normally wear long stuff. As you can see, I was currently indisposed. The fuck you guys suddenly get an attitude for?
Wait.
And then I'm just muttering under my breath, "This is why I don't like."
Wait a minute. Are you the same as me? Is that what's going on?
That's my suspicion.
I am nowhere near like you fuckbag. This is done. Get the fuck out of my office.
Someone's getting defensive. Wow.
I'm not sure how much you told everybody, but as the voice of a lot of people out there, I suggest you listen a bit more carefully.
I'm going to get the door and open it up.
Acer, go ahead and give me a charisma plus politics, and go ahead and add your camarilla status, which is currently set to 3. Or intimidation, whatever's better for you.
No,
If he does intimidation, can I help?
I'll say you can add a bonus die, as you've kind of both been tag teaming him the last minute or so. So
okay,
I'll say you earn a bonus die for that, yes.
Okay, you know what? I'll take it. I actually got a lot of die. This is pretty good.
Really quick, did I know a lot about Mark?
Unfortunately, not really. He seemed like a really nice guy. He really was excited to give you a chance. He really liked your stuff, and he was very polite, very cordial. He definitely ran the club with a different vibe. It was a little classier. Definitely had a hard EDM vibe. But it was more of like the early golden age of techno music when it was still old-fashioned scratch records. The club had a bit more class, a bit more charm, though it was definitely banging. At least the colors matched. This is starkly different.
So, that's 5.
5 successes. I'm actually going to burn a dice here.
The only one I can reroll is a red die, so I can't reroll it. This is the best I can do if I don't
You said
want
5
to risk.
successes?
Yes, 5. I can try and reroll for a critical.
No, don't risk it.
Do you want to try?
But yeah.
You also could pull from the pool as well if you want it.
Oh, that's right. We have a pool.
True.
It's up to you.
But the problem is, if I get a crit, that's a messy crit.
Oh, because you already have a crit.
I have a crit on the black die, so I won't be able to reroll the red one if it crits. You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna take. Do you guys mind if I be selfish and take 2?
It's your roll, dude. Go for it.
It is your roll.
Okay, I'm gonna be a little selfish. I'm gonna take 2.
All right, take 2 of the blood die. You use your blood bags to the session.
Just as everyone's reference, Steve said like one sentence.
6.
Still 5?
6.
6.
I was only able to get 1 success. Yeah.
You watch as Jordan crosses. As you can see, his eyes lock onto Acer, And that very wide, cheeky smile as you open the door, honestly going, shit, get the fuck out of here. And you hear that awkward pause, and you kind of listen back, and even that slow heartbeat kind of skips for just a second, causing you to look back, as now Jordan Ramirez looks at Acer, and the smile is gone. Kind of licks his lips a little bit, looking back and forth.
So Acer's just going to walk up and hold out his hand and be like, sorry, allow me to introduce myself. Name's Acer. How are you?
He doesn't shake your hand. He kind of squints his eyes at you. And he watches. He was about to take a breath and then never comes out. As he sidesteps you, you see him walk over to the woman on the bed. He leans over and he begins whispering something. I'm sorry, just go. She kind of huffs. You can see as she pulls the blankets up to her as she begins stepping out of the bed, one long nude leg stepping out as she leans over, begins picking up her clothes that were very hastily tucked underneath the bed. She kind of looks up to you all kind of awkwardly for covering herself with her clothes and skidding out into the hallway. He sighs as he looks over to you, Onyx. I appreciate if you close the door again.
She does so and smiles.
Goes back to his desk.
Are we getting somewhere yet?
Goes back to his desk. Now leans against it, looking back at Acer. Fine. What do you want, hotshot? And that is where we're going to end it for tonight, as you beat him with one success.
That reroll saved you.
Well, that was amazing, and I wanted to go a little bit longer, but about 9 minutes away from where we normally cut off, and this is a perfect stopping point. So, for now, everyone gets a point of experience for completing the session. Welcome to the Vamily, Onyx O'Connell. We are definitely excited to see where this goes in the next episode. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We greatly appreciate you all sticking with us so late. So many of you, too. Really appreciate the raids, the subscriptions, the follows, the support. Stay safe, everyone. God bless you all. And we'll see you all next week. Good night.
Bye now.